G'day humanoid life forms, Chewie here. Woo. And I'm in a tunnel, you know what that means? Alright, well I'm stuck behind this slow traffic. May as well have a little chat. Today I want to talk about privilege versus rights. It's very easy for people to be confused as to what is their right and what is their actual privilege. Sometimes we don't always like to hear facts and the truth, but there's one thing in the media recently that's been challenged by independent media, and that is the freedom of speech. It seems our government are trying really hard to pass laws about being offended by parody and satire, and that if you offend a politician, you basically can be incarcerated for your trouble, just for satirical reasons. This is how thick-skinned our current government is. They really don't have any backbone. Maybe it's because they know that they are actually so corrupt that when there's the truth held up in front of them, they have to make laws to punish people for holding that mirror up in front of them. So we have basic human rights, and then beyond that, we don't really have that many rights. We have a lot of privilege in this society. For example, riding a motorcycle on these roads. It's not a right, it's a privilege. I didn't pay for this road. Well, sort of. Collectively we pay for the roads through our taxes. Then that gives me the privilege to use it within the confines of the law. The law doesn't always make sense. We don't always agree with the laws. One example that was brought up by Andrew Hinks, case in point, is overtaking over double yellow lines. You know, on a motorcycle we have such a strong acceleration that we can overtake a car in very little space. For example, here. I can see far enough to overtake safely, but that's against the law, so I can't. Well, it might not have been that safe in that instance, but you know what I mean. Like right now I could overtake, but then I'd be breaking the speed limit. Another law that doesn't take into account conditions. You know, right now it's a 60 kilometre zone, fair enough. There's cars on the road, you need to be safe. But what about when there's no traffic on the road and there's no danger in going 70 or 80 kilometers an hour on this particular road? You can't. You're not allowed. Or stopping at a red light at 3 in the morning when you can see for half a kilometer in every direction that there's no cars coming, but you still have to wait for that green light to say, yes, you may go, citizen. We're not allowed to make decisions for ourselves because we have to cater for the lowest common denominator, and that certainly is low and very common. But here's an example where, you know, someone has a privilege but exploits that privilege. One example being my nephew recently got his provisional license, his P plates. He's a good kid. He's finished year 12 at school. He's been accepted to university on early entry. You know, he's a pretty smart kind of kid. He's turned 18. He's enjoying life. That's cool. But he recently went through the same speed camera 3 times. 3 times through a mobile unsigned speed camera, which is, again, whether it be right or wrong to the law, well, he's made a mistake and has to pay. So he'll lose his license. And you know what? I don't really feel bad for him for losing his license. He's been given this privilege of being allowed to use the road as a law-abiding citizen, and in his first few months of driving on the road independently has failed to do that, has failed to work within the confines of the system. I don't agree with mobile speed cameras. I've got no problem with speed cameras. I've got no problem with the speed limit in some instances. The 50 zones are getting a little bit monotonous everywhere. 60 zones in the national park and roads that used to be 80 and 100 zones. Ridiculous. But as a provisional driver, he doesn't have the right to have his license anymore. That might be a bit harsh, but that's the way I feel. He failed to see it as a privilege to drive, which it is. Oh, in my job I had to discipline a child recently for doing something really stupid and dangerous, and it's my duty of care to protect children. It's part of my job. The first thing the child said to me, "It's not against the law." And I went, "Excuse me? Throwing a half full bottle of water at someone isn't against the law?" "Yes it is, mate, that's assault." "No it's not, I didn't hurt him, it's a soft bottle." I said, "That's beside the point. What if it hit him in the eye? What if it was the hard part of the bottle that hit him in the back?" "Not against the law." I said, "Yes, it is against the law." This kid had this self-righteous arrogance that just made me so angry. I dealt with it by making him sit down and write down on a piece of paper what he did until he figured out what he'd done wrong. I allowed the child to sit by himself and think about the consequences of his behaviour for a while. I took away his privilege, which he saw as a right. Makes me angry. Alright, rant over. If you have been given a privilege, respect it, look after it, nurture it, and you will continue to have that privilege and be able to enjoy it. You're all awesome. I'm sure many of you are aware of Fenndog walking from the very top of Australia to the bottom of Tasmania. Well, right now he's somewhere around here, and by tomorrow he'll be at Palm Beach in Sydney. So he's going to get on a ferry at Ettalong, which is just back over there a little bit, and make his way to Palm Beach at some point tonight. So hopefully Roger, Rochelle and I will be able to catch up with him and have a little chat. Now I'm a touch early to meet up with Roger and Rochelle, so I'm going to head down to the beach and just take a couple of photos. I'll show you that in a second. Just heading back from Umina. Thanks very much Roger and Rochelle for having me for that really good chicken burger at BMX Bandit. What a place. So nice to sit by the water and have some food and chat and laugh. Such brilliant people. Thank you very much. May as well get fuel here, it's a bit cheaper. You don't want to see that. Look at this driver. He's been driving 60 in the 80 zone and now there's an overtaking lane. So what speed is he doing now? 80 kilometers an hour. Quick Chewie story. This is North Rocks Road, heading up to the Big Dipper. Once upon a time, I was a traffic controller and they laid fresh asphalt on this road and I had to do a stop and go at one end of this Big Dipper. This is the Big Dipper now. Now we're standing on freshly laid hot mix. I'll put the temperature on the screen. This is the Big Dipper. It's beautiful. I was posted just here, summer's day. The temperature was 45 degrees Celsius at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Every 30 minutes I was drinking over a litre of water and tipping another litre of water gradually over my head over that half an hour, and I did not pee once that day. Absolutely the most disgusting, hottest day of work I've ever done in my life. Alright, that's about all. You know the drill. Until next time, be good to each other. Chewie out. Peace.